right, today we're going to talk about 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. As far as the author goes, we're not exactly sure who wrote them, but some clues would lend us to believe that it's probably John who wrote the gospel according to John. Same style, same type of theme, so we're pretty sure it was John, hence the names 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. Now, the audience that he's writing to is this person who wrote these letters is overseeing a network of house churches. And so within that network of churches, there have been some people who left because they disagreed about Jesus, about who he is, his messiahship, him being the Son of God. And so these people are like, I don't know if that's who Jesus is. That's not what we believe. And they left. But instead of leaving and just doing their own new thing, they had gone back and began to stir things up. And so there's this tension happening within these house churches. And so the author writes to address this stuff. So 1st John is his first response to that tension. Then 2nd and 3rd John, what he does is he warns people in letter 2 about, hey, these are the type of people as they come back, they're deceivers. Let's not let them into the church and let them have any influence. And then in 1st John 3, he says, but here's someone else that's going to come by and we can trust them. So those two letters are kind of who we can trust, who we can't trust as far as their influence or their coming into the church. So what I want to do is I want to dive deeper into 1st John for this particular video. So in 1st John, there is a clear introduction, a clear conclusion, and kind of two big sections between them. In the introduction, John shows us that he's not teaching them anything new. This isn't taking you to a new belief, a new doctrine, to deeper mysteries of the gospel. He's simply saying, this stuff you already know. This is the stuff that we believe as followers of Christ. So it's a way of calling them back to what they first believed. Then after that, there are two major sections that both begin with, this is the message. So in chapter 1, verse 5, it says, this is the message. And that message in this section from 1:5 to chapter 3, verse 10 is all about how God is light. Okay, so what it talks about with God being light is that we, as his children, should walk in light. Well, what does that mean? It means to obey the commands of Jesus, specifically the command to love others. And so as he's talking about walking in light, he's going to contrast that with the theme of darkness. Now, darkness is the things of this world, specifically things like pride and sexual immorality, things that want to attract us to them. And he's saying, don't fall into that temptation. Instead, walk in the light. And as we do, as children of God, obey Jesus's commands, love others, we push the darkness in the world out. Then after chapter 3, verse 10, chapter 3, verse 11, introduces the next section. This is the message of, and the primary theme in this section is how God is love. And so what we need to do as his children is to love others by putting them first, like Jesus put us first. It's looking to others people's interests and putting them over our own so that they can experience the goodness of God. And what happens is as we center our lives on knowing Jesus's love and focusing on Jesus's love, specifically as it's displayed on the cross, two things happen. One, as his followers, in thinking and dwelling and meditating and marinating in his love, we begin to transform and to become more like Jesus. And a second thing that happens is not only do we become like Jesus, but we begin to experience what he calls eternal life. We get to experience the goodness and the presence of God, not as something to come in the future, but as something in the present. Then after that section, he gets to the conclusion. And in the conclusion, to show us who Jesus is, he ultimately shows that to know God is to know Jesus, and to know Jesus is to know God. We can't separate those things. So it ends on a note of Christology, or our understanding of who Jesus is. So as you read these letters of 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John, my hope is that not only will you know more of who Jesus is as the Messiah, as the Son of God, but you will also find ways that you can live like Jesus in the world that we are in.